Do you ever wish that you could skip to the end of a moment in your life just like you could with a movie or a TV show? I do that all the time. But that's why I try to avoid attempts to fast forward through life. I mean, we all saw what happened with the banana, right? I'll try to skip, but no matter how hard I try, nothing budges. I can't skip through traffic. I can't skip through work. I can't skip through a TV show that I'm watching. I mean, of course I can, but why sit down to watch a TV show just to fast forward through it? And Ben, come on, sleeping through everything isn't going to work either. Save the sleeping for bed. Okay, you're in bed. Good. What is the situation called exactly? I'm not really sure what the technical term for it would be exactly, but I call it going from A to Z, or A to Zing. Hi, my name is Ben Hillman, and this is some Slacker stuff. A to Z thinking is when my mind goes from step A all the way to step Z before going to step B. Take this banana, for example. The steps to eat this banana are step A, pick up the banana. Step B, peel the banana. Step C, take a bite of the banana. D, take another bite, and so on. Step Z is probably throw away the peel. So what happens if we go from step A to step Z? Exactly. I'd consider myself an expert in A to Z, and it's not something that I'm particularly proud of. I've worked on it extensively in therapy, and sometimes it'll start out as contemplating simple dilemmas, but it's been as bad as imagining an entire relationship with a woman before I even ask her out. Some might call this an overactive imagination, but it can be much more nuanced. It's somewhat similar to catastrophizing. A bunch of what ifs lead to thinking about terrible consequences. What a beautiful sunset. You know, I really love looking at the sunset. It would really suck to not be able to watch the sunset anymore. Wait, what if I stare at the sunset for too long and then I start to go blind? Well, then I wouldn't be able to watch anything, let alone sunsets. If I couldn't watch sunsets, then I'd feel sad. If I felt sad, people would probably be turned off from talking to me, and then I wouldn't have any friends. Then I would be blind, friendless, and most importantly, sunsetless. Fuck you, son. When I go from A to Z, I'm missing out what's in front of me. I'm not living in the present, and the scenarios that I imagine aren't even guaranteed to play out that way. I try to change the way I'm thinking in order to get through this. Of course, that's much easier said than done. So where do I start? I know one thing I can do is identify my anxiety. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the United States. They affect 40 million adults, or 18.1% of the population every year. This is according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Generalized anxiety disorder, which is what I have, affects 6.8 million adults, or 3.1% of the US population. And only 43.2% are receiving treatment. So a lot of people are not asking for help. I myself deal with that every single day. And considering folks who don't even have anxiety disorders can also catastrophize from time to time, that's an even bigger issue. So what's the answer? Well, to find out, I talked to my friend Brianna Callahan. She has a master's in mental health counseling and is currently a therapist working with teens in Massachusetts.
I mean, there's so many resources online, like books on it, CBT worksheets, obviously like talking to friends, but the best way to heal it is to go to therapy, just because like having a professional guide you and be able to recognize that you are having irrational thoughts or distortions, because sometimes people don't even know they're having it. So like sometimes it's the therapist who will identify it. People need to realize that like a lot of us do this, so it's not like an abnormality or like a defect within them. And I think this plays off of like the stigma of mental health, which I think has gotten a lot better, especially around like anxiety and depression. But I think for men, it's like especially hard to go to therapy.
Why do men struggle so much with asking for help?
So the stigma I feel like is for everybody, but I think it's extra hard for men because of toxic masculinity. And like from when boys are young, it's like, don't cry like a girl, or like men shouldn't cry, or toughen up, or man up. So I think like men have internalized those things about their identity and gender to make it so they won't ask for help. And then what ends up happening is they just like internalize their issues. Men are much more likely to carry through with suicide. And I think that also has a lot to do with like the internalized issues and unable to ask for help. People in general might think they're seen as like being weak to ask for help or go to therapy, but I honestly think it's the opposite, because I think the people who are reaching out to get help are actually the ones who are the most healthy and strong, because they're willing to like face their shit and work on themselves, versus someone who's like avoiding going to therapy, like most likely doesn't want to look at themselves and would rather just like stay in denial and use their unhealthy coping mechanisms. I think it's the toxic masculinity that prevents guys the most, but yeah, there's literally no shame in it. I think like going to therapy is probably one of the most beneficial, useful ways to spend your money, because getting to know yourself and becoming self-aware like impacts every aspect of your life.
Speaking from my own experience, I found that it is possible to halt this catastrophic thinking. Instead of going all the way to Z from A, I've been able to rewind and go to B first. So how have I done this? First of all, therapy has been crucial to dealing with this issue. When I'm in the middle of it, all I can think about is going from A to Z. So it helps to have a third party extrapolate the situation and identify that I'm overthinking/catastrophizing. Now, I understand that not everyone has the privilege of being able to afford or go to therapy, so there are a few other tools that I've turned to help me with solving this issue. Number one, journaling. Journaling is not a one-size-fits-all solution, although it sometimes feels like it can be. And I understand that it works for some folks and for others it doesn't. For me, I've discovered that it's a way to analyze what I'm thinking and really break apart the absurdity in my thoughts. Sometimes just talk through them. I try to approach it as gently as possible, because if I have perilous thoughts, it's not going to help the situation overall if I start placing judgment on them. Number two, working out. Working out is a tool that helps me get out of my head. The physical exertion has been instrumental in pushing out the negative thoughts, not by thinking so hard that they dissipate, but by having something else to concentrate on. The endorphins are also crucial, but probably my favorite part about working out is that it's straightforward. Lift weight, lower weight, repeat. Number three, meditation. This is one that has taken some getting used to, as I started out a huge skeptic. I would be judging the practice before I even gave it a shot. However, after a while of practicing, it started to make sense. I use Mind Body Awareness Project. They've got a great meditation app, and there are plenty of other meditation apps out there. So try some and see what works for you. And let me know in the comments down below if there's a go-to meditation app that you use that you think other people would benefit greatly from. In the moment, A to Zing and catastrophizing can seem debilitating. After all, I've just mentally fast-forwarded my life. What do I do when I've reached the end? Well, the thing is it's not the end. If your remote can fast forward to your future, it can just as easily rewind to where it left off. The tactics and the tools that I've talked about, they don't always work. And sometimes I feel like I just have to wait it out for my brain to reset. But that's why I try to avoid attempts to fast forward through life. I mean, we all saw what happened with the banana, right? If you're feeling helpless and you don't know where to turn, I provided some links in the description with more tactics. And if your situation is particularly dire, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. 1-800-273-8255. Please, please, please be kind to yourself and remember that you're not alone. Before you go from A to Z, you gotta see what B is like, and then you can check out C and beyond. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.